Stepmother forbids daughter to look in mirror and demands punishment if caught wearing makeup. I used to love mornings waking up, brushing my hair, and catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror before school. But that changed the day my stepmother Linda decided she had the right to control even the smallest parts of my life. Emma, she said one morning, standing in the hallway like a shadow I couldn't ignore, mirrors are dangerous. You spend too much time staring at yourself. From now on, you are forbidden from looking into mirrors and no makeup ever. If I catch you breaking the rules, there will be consequences. I froze my fingers still on the brush. Mom, stepmom, I mean, am just checking my hair. That's normal. She shook her head, her expression cold. Normal vanity is dangerous. You need to focus on your inner self. You will follow my rules. I felt my stomach drop. Inner self. It felt like a punishment just to exist normally, to care about how I looked. I had always been proud of my hair and how I presented myself, and suddenly that pride had become a crime. Over the next few days, I noticed the constant watchful eyes. Every time I reached for a brush or thought about eyeliner, I hesitated, my heart racing. I had to sneak into my room, cover the mirrors with towels, and hope she didn't notice. Every glance in a window or reflective surface felt like a test I might fail. The first time I was caught trying to fix a stray hair, she demanded I sit in the corner for an hour without talking or moving. The punishment was silent, but crushing, and I realized that she wasn't just enforcing rules, she was trying to control my confidence, my expression, even my reflection of myself. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and thought about my options. Could I just follow her rules and stay invisible? Or was this a fight I needed to take on? I knew one thing for certain: something as simple as looking in the mirror or feeling proud of myself shouldn't be forbidden, and I knew deep down that I wasn't going to let her take that from me without a fight. The next morning, I woke up before anyone else, careful not to make a sound. I tiptoed into the bathroom where the mirror loomed like a forbidden treasure. For a moment, I just stared at my reflection, letting myself remember what it felt like to see myself without fear. Then carefully, I brushed my hair, trying not to make a sound that could alert Linda. I knew I couldn't defy her openly yet. Each day I experimented with tiny acts of rebellion, adjusting a stray hair when she wasn't looking, putting on a bit of lip gloss in secret, or sneaking a glance at myself in a reflective surface. Each small victory was exhilarating, but each one carried a risk. One afternoon, I caught her walking down the hall while I was lightly touching up my eyeliner. Her eyes narrowed. "Emma, I see you." My heart raced. I tried to stay calm. I I was just what she interrupted sharply. "Breaking the rules, testing me." She grabbed my wrist, her grip firm, and pulled me into the living room. "You need to learn that actions have consequences." I sat in the corner for an hour, just like before, counting the tiles on the floor, my mind buzzing with anger and fear. But even as I endured her punishment, a tiny flame of determination burned inside me. I realized that this wasn't just about mirrors or makeup, it was about control, about deciding how I could or couldn't express myself. That night, I whispered to myself in the dark, "I won't let her win. She can try to control me, but she can't take away who I am. You'll find a way." It became my mantra, a secret rebellion that no one else could see. Each day I planned carefully, learning how to navigate her rules without letting her crush my spirit. Every stolen glance in the mirror, every brush of eyeliner became an act of courage. I knew the real battle was only beginning, and I was ready to fight for the right to see myself, to claim my reflection and my identity back. By the third week, I realized I needed a plan beyond tiny secret acts. Linda's rules were tightening, and every misstep brought punishments that left me feeling smaller, like my confidence was being chipped away piece by piece. I needed a safe space to remind myself who I really was. I found it in an old notebook tucked behind my dresser, a journal I had started months ago but had abandoned. Now it became my sanctuary. Each evening, I wrote down everything I felt: anger, frustration, fear, and also my little victories. I documented the moments I managed to brush my hair, the rare times I wore a little makeup in secret, and the feeling of reclaiming myself, even in tiny ways. One night, Linda barged into my room unannounced. My heart sank, fearing she had discovered the journal. She rifled through my dresser drawers and pulled the notebook from its hiding spot. "What's this?" she demanded, flipping through pages. More vanity, more rebellion. I froze, unsure how to respond. My cheeks burned with fear. She continued reading, her eyes scanning my private thoughts. "You think you can hide from me? You're wasting time with these childish words instead of focusing on inner growth. You need guidance. You need discipline." I felt a surge of anger. This isn't about vanity or rebellion. It's about expressing myself and keeping my mind clear. "You can't control my thoughts or my words." Her face hardened. "Thoughts don't matter if they lead to sinful actions. You will face consequences if you continue down this path." Even as she left the room clutching the journal, I knew something had shifted. Linda could confiscate the notebook, but she couldn't erase the confidence and self-awareness it had given me. I realized that my inner voice, the one I wrote to every night, was stronger than her attempts to control me. Lying in bed, I made a promise to myself I would reclaim my journal, my reflection, and my right to exist as I am. Every punishment she imposed only fueled my determination. Linda could try to dictate my world, but she would never fully control me. For the first time, I understood that this battle wasn't just about mirrors or makeup, it was about claiming my identity, even when someone powerful tried to erase it. By the fourth week, I couldn't live in fear any longer. Every day, Linda's rules tightened around me like a cage. I knew I had to take a risk if I wanted to reclaim even a small piece of normalcy. That afternoon, I waited until she left for her book club and crept into the bathroom. The mirror gleamed under the bright lights, untouched and waiting. I stared at myself for a long moment, letting my reflection sink in. My eyes, my hair, my features, they were mine, not hers to judge or punish. Slowly, I brushed my hair carefully, smoothing each strand, feeling a sense of calm I hadn't felt in weeks. Then I reached for the small tube of lip gloss hidden in my dresser and applied it lightly, savoring the quiet thrill of rebellion. I knew the risk I was taking. If she found me, the punishment would be worse this time. But I also realized something important. I couldn't let fear dictate every part of my life. Every small act of defiance was proof that I still had control over myself. When Linda returned, I wasn't in the bathroom. I hurried back to my room, heart racing. She glanced in my direction, suspicious, but unable to prove anything. That night, lying in bed, I felt a rush of pride. For the first time, I had truly broken her rules and survived. The next day, I took a bigger step. I wore a light touch of makeup to school, feeling a quiet strength with every glance in the classroom mirrors. No one could take away my confidence, not her, not anyone. By defying her quietly, I realized I was reclaiming more than just mirrors or makeup. I was reclaiming my autonomy, my self-expression, and the right to feel proud of myself. Each small victory was a building block toward freedom. For the first time, I understood that rebellion didn't have to be loud or dramatic. It could be subtle, persistent, and ultimately powerful. Linda had underestimated me, and I was determined to show her that my spirit couldn't be controlled. Linda's patience, if she ever had any, was clearly wearing thin. She began watching me more closely, lingering in doorways, asking pointed questions about my school day, my friends, and my vanity. Every glance I stole at a mirror felt like a gamble, but I couldn't stop. My small acts of rebellion had become a lifeline, and I refused to surrender them. One afternoon, she cornered me in the hallway after school. Her eyes were cold, sharp, and accusatory. "Emma, I heard you wore makeup today," she said, her voice low but threatening. "You know the rules. This behavior will not be tolerated." I felt my heart pound, but this time I didn't shrink. I stood tall and met her gaze. "I am allowed to express myself. I have a right to feel confident and proud of who I am. This isn't about vanity. It's about me being me. You don't get to control that." Her face twisted in anger. "You are a child. I am trying to guide you, to protect you from becoming shallow and foolish. You will obey, or there will be consequences." I took a deep breath, my resolve hardening. Guidance isn't control. Punishment isn't teaching. You've crossed the line. I won't stop looking in the mirror or wearing makeup. You can't take my self-respect from me." She was silent for a long moment, clearly shocked that I had spoken back. Dad appeared in the doorway, sensing the tension immediately. "That's enough, Linda," he said firmly. "Emma has the right to make choices about herself, and you have no authority to punish her for it. End of discussion." Linda's lips pressed into a thin line, but she stepped back. For the first time, I felt that balance of power shift. I realized that standing up didn't have to mean shouting or escalating. It meant asserting my boundaries clearly and refusing to be intimidated. That night, as I looked at myself in the mirror in my room, brushing my hair and smoothing a touch of eyeliner, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks: freedom. The fight wasn't over, but I had won a crucial battle. I was reclaiming my reflection, my choices, and my right to exist as myself. And for the first time, I knew I had the strength to keep fighting no matter what she tried. After the confrontation, the house felt different. Linda still lingered, her eyes sharp and critical, but I no longer felt the same fear. I had claimed my voice, and I was determined to keep it. Each morning, I practiced looking in the mirror, confidently brushing my hair and applying makeup in subtle, careful ways, letting the small rituals restore my sense of self. I also started keeping a careful record of her attempts to control me, writing down incidents in my journal. It wasn't just a record, it was proof that I mattered, that my choices were valid, and that I wouldn't be silenced. Each entry reinforced my resolve, turning my frustration into strategy. One evening, Linda tried another intimidation tactic. She entered my room, her expression tight, and said, "Emma, I warned you. I see you using that mirror again." I didn't flinch. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "I see myself, and I am allowed to. You can try to punish me, but you cannot erase who I am. I am still me." Dad, who had been passing by, came in and nodded firmly. "She's right, Linda. You don't get to dictate her self-expression or her confidence. It stops now." Linda's face flushed with frustration, but she said nothing. For the first time, I sensed her power slipping. I realized that resistance didn't always have to be loud or confrontational. Sometimes it was quiet, consistent, and unwavering. That night, I sat at my vanity, looking at myself in the mirror for a long time. The reflection staring back wasn't just my face, it was my courage, my determination, and my identity. I smiled, feeling the weight of control lift from my shoulders. I knew the final battle wasn't far off, but I also knew I was ready. Linda could try to take my confidence, my reflection, or my self-expression, but she would never succeed. I had taken control of myself, and nothing could change that. By the final week of school, the tension in the house had shifted completely. Linda had grown quieter, perhaps realizing that her attempts to control me had failed. I moved freely through my mornings, brushing my hair, applying makeup, and looking in the mirror without fear. Each glance, each small act of self-expression felt like reclaiming a piece of myself that had been under siege for weeks. Dad and I had also grown closer during this time. He never questioned my choices or undermined my confidence. Instead, he supported me, quietly standing as a steady shield when Linda tried to impose her rules. His presence made me realize how much control and guidance could come from respect, not fear. One afternoon, I caught Linda staring at me as I carefully applied a touch of blush. For a moment, her expression softened, but only briefly. I met her gaze firmly and said, "I am allowed to express myself, and I will continue to do so. I won't hide who I am or be ashamed of it." She didn't respond, but I knew I had won. It wasn't about shouting or fighting anymore. It was about owning my identity and refusing to let anyone diminish it. That evening, I looked in the mirror and smiled. The reflection wasn't just my face. It was my courage, my defiance, and my growth. I realized that the battle had taught me more than I expected, that standing up for yourself, even against someone who claims authority, is a powerful act of self-respect. Linda's rules had tried to shrink me, but instead they had revealed my strength. I had learned to fight with quiet persistence, to claim my reflection, and to trust my own worth. For the first time in weeks, I felt complete freedom. My mirrors, my makeup, my confidence, they were all mine. I had won not through anger or confrontation alone, but through resilience and the refusal to let fear control me. And in that moment, I knew no one could ever take my reflection or my spirit away again.